Hi, it's Joy and today I'm going to be watching Stargirl Season 2, Episode 3, Summer School, Part 3. I am stressed about what Cindy has got herself into and the new villain in town. There's just so much going on that I'm very stressed about, but I am very excited to get back and seeing Courtney and the gang. And I hope we see Jenny again. Jenny or Jessie, my brain. A reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon, although we are near the end of the month, so as I always say, maybe wait until the first of the month just to save you money in the long run, because you get charged once when you join and once at the first of the month. For me and any other person's Patreon. So yeah, without further ado, let's go.
Nothing wrong with being a sidekick. See, that's the thing. When I get back, we'll have that eggnog, okay?
Trying to cheer him up and now he's cheering up, but... Ugh. Delightful children, it seems. Oh. Kids are brats. What he should do is tell his parents about this. Oh. Someone noticed that your other child needs help. Like the giant rip in his jacket.
And it's not something you need to be worrying about, Mike.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, Barb, what can I get?
My god, Pat! I'm sorry! I stand by what I used to say in season 1. Like, Pat is not being a good dad. He's too wrapped up in Courtney and Stripesy, and I get that, I do. But it doesn't take a blind person to see that Mike is struggling with all of this. You know, at the very least, Pat could be saying, well, look, you are too young. I mean, admittedly, I still think Courtney and the gang are too young, but it's fine. I mean, admittedly, like, yeah, say to him, look, right now, you are 10. I mean, okay, I guess he's like 13, 12. I don't know. I cannot judge age of young people. When you are Courtney's age, so like in 3 years, in 2 years, maybe we will be able to figure out a way for you to help the team. Right now, you're too young. But I will, in my spare time, I will train you so you're ready, because he's been involved. He's been in the life and death situations. He's killed someone and you've all just, you know, and then he was like, I can't remember, he made some glib joke. And everyone just acting like that wouldn't have messed him up. Like, it doesn't take much to see Mike is struggling. And the fact that he just came in the door, his jacket is ripped, looking defeated, and then, you know, he's part of this. So just saying to him, well, this isn't anything for you to worry about. At the very least, you can include him in the conversations, given that you included him in the conversations last year. I do think that this is just very sloppy parenting on Pat's case. And it's a bit like last year when Mike was struggling or acting out, or I don't entirely remember. And he was just like, well, now you have a paper route, so there you go. Or like, it was little glib things like Mike would just... Oh, I'm not even starting that I've remembered his name. It is Mike, isn't it? If he like came downstairs and they were like, oh yeah, but I've just cooked you breakfast, here you go, here's some eggs. And then he was like, oh no, I'm just going to help myself to this. And it's like, at least have a conversation about it. But I just feel like Pat is a very neglectful parent. He loves his children, do not get me wrong. He loves Mike with all of his heart. He would die for him. But I think he needs to be more switched on to what Mike actually needs. Is he going to become the new pink pen man? Oh god. If that could be as powerful as the guy said it was, I'm scared. Well, at least he has something now. We could train him in if it chooses him, which I guess it did. Oh my god. Okay, I know that they've been ignoring you a lot. Tell Mike, tell Pat. Oh god.
I wish I had some water.
Be specific. Tell Pat about this.
Can't wish for the same thing twice and be happy about that in this case.
Interesting. So, even if you reword it, you can't wish it again?
The girl who cried wolf was, right after all.
Of course I was right.
Courtney.
In Blue Valley, Dr. Midnight's the only one of the JSA that we haven't got justice for.
Yeah.
We need to. First things first, we need to find out where the shade is hiding.
Yeah, we need to figure out a way to stop him. That is the thing we need to figure out first, before we do anything too much. How do we stop him?
Punch a shadow.
He's gonna be here. Oh no. I don't like that. Oh no, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that.
I'll know it when I see it.
Does he want what Cindy has? Or is there something else terrible and nefarious in here? Nope, a teenager has it, I believe.
I really must insist.
What the fuck? Is he gone with the box? Because at this point, I'll take it. At least he doesn't seem to be hurting anyone yet. I guess he's keeping the people he might need.
How are we gonna stop the shade once we find him?
I know.
Pat's working on it.
Oh, children, you're in school with people listening.
Turns out, if you actually read the book, history's not that hard.
I'm surprised, Courtney.
Come on, let's go, let's go.
Thunderbolt, I wish you'd make him stop.
You got it.
Stop now.
Well, I can't until they do.
Oh my god. This is why you need to go home right now, young man, and tell Pat. Tell your father. He can help you learn what to do.
Looking up from here.
Oh, good.
Guess who's the newest member of the Justice Society of America?
If this genie really grants wishes, maybe you could fix the goggles?
Oh.
And stop him.
Yeah, so what was his last wish?
That I'd find a new friend.
Oh my god.
Why him?
You know, feels completely and utterly alone.
Yep.
That's really how he feels?
Maybe, I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Because you've been not listening to him, neglecting him. Emotionally, at least. I'm glad this episode is making them stand up and take note. Hopefully it'll make Cindy's plan of stealing him more difficult.
All the people we'll be able to save? You and me together, brother and sister.
That sounds great. Really, but
The Thunderbolt picked me.
Sweetheart, you're like
So I'm like you.
12.
I was meant to be a superhero. It's my destiny. Please.
Courtney, he has, and you don't have much of a leg to stand on. I think at the very least we agree that we can train him and use him as absolute auxiliary backup should the need come.
you didn't want me to use the cosmic staff for the same reason. You didn't want any of us suiting up at first.
And I kind of still agree. I can't. But no, I love them. They are very brave.
Stopped Icicle, if you remember.
Yeah, I try to not think about it.
Yeah, maybe you should have got him some therapy. Although he couldn't have told them what it was about.
Kate, the shade. That's it. Deal?
My man.
Exactly, sit down with him and make it clear that
All right, knowing how these wishes
Mike
backfire,
is too young to be a mainstream.
bulletproof, and I need all your help.
Mm-hmm.
You did it, Mike.
Yeah, you did good.
Aw.
Let's go. Whoa, whoa.
Mike, remember, you only find the location.
Yeah, that was the deal, remember? You agreed to it. And it's safer that way.
Especially, like,
No. Come on, man. Don't bench me now.
don't just do the, like, I'm dad, I say thing. Just say to him, like, you need to train more, you need to know how to use it. It's your first day.
That's an important job, right?
Don't treat him like a little kid.
There's some
But-
pizza bites, cheese.
Mike, it's your first day with the pen. You shouldn't just be rushing in. They could have taken more than 2 seconds to explain it to you, I agree.
Okay,
You're still
let's go over this
part
one
of the
more time.
team now.
Approved?
Yeah.
I have to ask Mom's permission.
Plans,
So restrain him, then imprison him.
They're so young. I still have my stresses, okay?
okay.
I think adults just letting them do it is very immature. Not immature, irresponsible. You're exactly in the position your dad used to be, alright? That's what he should talk to him about, how he used to be the sidekick left behind before, and he knows how hard it is, but he knows it's also important.
It'll be historic once I get my hands on the shade.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. I'm in it. Hey,
I don't trust this at all. I believe in my children, I love them, but they are children, I'm stressed. I'm glad Pat is with them, but he's also just, I don't know, with them as like a adult, like, company, like parental guardian accompanying them on the school trip. Like, he was waiting for you.
All right, kids. Let's go ahead and have a seat.
This is so weird.
We're never gonna stop fighting to protect the world from people like you.
Mm-hmm.
Just to reassure you, It's just better that none of you know.
Zap the Villanota's quote the shade unquote, not to be confused with a lamp or window shade.
As you wish, my friend.
Oh god. It's not all powerful, sweetheart. Oh, this is why you don't leave children unaccompanied.
Stay out of my way.
Oh boy.
Use an excuse for even knowing.
It was an accident?
Well, yeah, I guess it was. I'm no hero.
She thought there was someone she could
He's gone.
talk to about what she's going through.
But
You didn't.
I didn't either in the beginning, Courtney.
Standing up for her brother.
Beginning for my.
it was my ticket into the JSA, but now I kind of just wish it was in better hands. Thunderbolt?
Oh god. Oh, Mike.
I am a loser.
No, you're not, but you're about to become a JSA member. Poor Mike. Who's talking to Mike, making sure he's okay and not lonely?
Okay. Court's upstairs with them.
I mean, he's not okay. You know, he's desperately lonely, and you've not made attention to that.
I mean, we both are. Even though we don't have costumes and code names.
Then tell him that and include him in the discussions.
I
At least a little
think
bit.
something.
There's no prop, Barb.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Black Diamond.
What's the black diamond?
Pat should have gone over all the stuff to find anything super dangerous.
Very, very bad.
Talk to me. Pretend I'm Chuck.
Oh, God, that's such a sweet thing to say.
You should talk to them.
You should, my love. Tell them what you found.
I would talk to mine, if I could. Hello?
Chuck? Chuck? Chuck?
Need to know.
What?
You're in danger. Eclipse Stone.
What?
Chuck?
What was it? What did Chuck say?
The Eclipse Stone. Is he talking about the Dark Stone? That's proof, though, that Chuck is in there.
He's gonna kill those children.
Are you concerned about them, villain?
This is
Is it because they're kids? He'd kill their parents when they were like JSA members, but they won't kill children. Okay, this episode was not what I was expecting. I mean, I don't watch promos. I try and avoid any spoilers to do with the next episodes altogether. Mike getting the pen, I was like, oh, maybe this will be his way onto the JSA, and you know, I think we'll have to take it slow, train him, because even Courtney, I should not have been rushing into battles right at the beginning. Obviously, she kind of did it without anyone knowing, and that's kind of what Mike did. So I'm kind of disappointed for him now that he lost the pen, but I also do think it's quite a dangerous thing, and he's maybe not the right kid for it, just because he is that little bit impulsive right now, and maybe in a couple of years he would have been. And there'll be his own way of getting into the JSA, whether it's he ends up taking on the mantle of Stripesy. I know he wanted Pat to train him, and then Pat was like, hell no. But I kind of think, train him, include him in it as a tertiary member, you know, secondary member even. Say to him, like, you are that little bit younger than Courtney, and I know it sucks to hear it. Like, acknowledge that it sucks, but also be there for him and train him, including when they don't say, oh, it's a villain, but you don't have to worry about that. You can say, oh, yeah, there's a villain in town. Don't worry, I don't think, like, you're in any danger or anything. Like, to reassure your child that he doesn't need to be in fear for his life. But I still feel like the way they're handling Mike, the way Pat's handling Mike in particular, it's very much in that kind of like, oh, I love you, kid, and that's enough. And it's not enough. And the fact that they knew he was feeling desperately alone, and then Barbara was just like, oh, that's on all of us. But, you know, he's part of the team, same as that. Then make him know that. Go inside, sit him down and say, look, we're still, you know, you still shouldn't have run into the house the way you did and did what you did. But you are a part of this team, and we're sorry if we haven't made you feel that. This family is a team, and it's our core team. And then we have the, you know, I just think that there's so much more we could have said to that poor kid. And so I think it's interesting to see in a way how they treat him after this episode is going to be very telling in the sense of Cindy's plan to recruit him to her ISA Mark II, whether or not there'll be any future in that. Because if they continue to sideline Mike all the time, and I do not think Mike should be going on missions with them because he is 5 years old. But I think he can be part of the planning in the same way that like Barbara has to sign off on the missions before the children can go on it. Mike could be told about the missions. Mike could be with her. He could be kind of helping them plan it, coming up with suggestions. And even if they don't use any of the suggestions, you know, I still feel like he's been a big enough part of it that they should include him. I am kind of glad that it was an accident when he killed Icicle, because that does ease my mind a little bit about Mike's like murderous tendencies. I mean, obviously he saved everyone when he did it, and so I'm glad that he's not, you know, too much wallowing in guilt because he killed a bad person. I think Yolanda really thought, well, maybe that's someone I can talk to because he's also killed someone, but he didn't intentionally make the choice, he just kind of did it. Which is very different. Yolanda is definitely still struggling, and I'm glad we're not ignoring that, because of course she is, after like killing someone, even if it was someone that deserved death. Ideally you'd want these people in prison, so I'm glad we're seeing that she is still struggling. I'm also concerned because Scary Voice Kid that Cindy wants to recruit definitely heard, it seemed, every word Yolanda and Courtney was saying, and so he knows that they are part of the JSA, and I mean Cindy knows as well, but like I definitely think he's going to be recruited by Cindy. Because I don't know, maybe he's gonna be like, hey, I'm a descendant of the ISA, can I join the JSA? But I doubt that. Rick is throwing away his academic future by not going to summer school, and I hate this for him. I wish in a way he'd stood up more for himself in terms of the test, and I don't mean just walking away. I wish he said, fine, yeah, I will take it. You know, because the teacher was being a bitch to him. Like, that is not how you should approach the situation, and I talked about it in those episodes. But he is a smart young man, and academics is not everything, but if you are academically gifted, if you are able to succeed in academics, that is just one more option for you in your life that I don't think you should be throwing away. Especially not when kind of a lot of people in his life before the JSA didn't view Rick as having any options, and he has so many. He has the world. I did kind of move on from talking about Mike very quickly, but I feel like at this point we're still on the cusp with him. I'm glad finally someone had to literally say to Pat, hey, you know that kid you always are like, oh, this doesn't concern you, go do your paper route. Oh, was your jacket been ripped? How did that happen? I don't care. Go away, child, go away. Is feeling lonely. I'm shocked. So I'm intrigued. It's going to be really telling how Mike is and how they interact with Mike in episodes going forward. It's also something I loved was Courtney being his sister. You know, she went out to talk to him, she tried to relate to him and kind of do what Pat says, but then she was on his side. She stood up for him and she was like, you know, yeah, I think he can join in. And again, I think she was sort of not feeling necessarily that he could come on the front lines with them, because no one should in the beginning of their superhero training, but I don't know, I've enjoyed the growth of their siblingship throughout this show, and I'm really enjoying seeing it carrying on. Another conversation I absolutely loved was between Rick and Beth, when he, you know, talked to me like I'm Chuck, you know, I am here for you, because obviously she's never really had many friends, and she's struggled with opening up to people because she's never really had friends. She's been seen as a kind of weird one, and even when she first joined this group, she sort of joined it by accident. None of them invited her. It was quite awkward, but Rick could see she was struggling, and he reached out, and he was able to find an avenue to help her reach out to him, and I think his advice was exactly what she needs. If you find something like that, ask your parents about it, and they can say, oh, you know, we had a bit of a wobble last year and we considered getting a divorce, but we're through it now, or, well, yes, sweetheart, we've been waiting for the right moment to tell you we are getting a divorce. You know, I think difficult topics like that are always far better when discussed and when left in the open. It's very hard for a kid when their parents divorce, I know from experience, and not knowing, but knowing something's up is such a difficult feeling to be in. So I do hope we either see Beth talk to her parents, or we have Beth saying to Rick or somebody, I did what you said, I talked to my parents. Because they're there. I mean, if she sits down and says, like, I have to talk to you about something, I'm sure even they will take 2 seconds of their time to speak to her. I mean, literally 2 seconds. I don't think they probably spend much more than that. Rick is still feeding Grundy, who must be Grundy, I don't know. Yolanda is struggling. Courtney is Courtney, impulsive as ever. But she's learning, she's studying. She reads history textbooks now and she actually learns something. I'm just stressed in general about all of these kids. I'm trying to think about everything, if I've discussed everything before I move on to the villains. The new kid, I don't remember his name, is it Shakib or something? I didn't really catch it. I'm not good with names anymore on the first basis. He has the pen now, and he's a very lonely kid who plays video games by himself all day. Now, I've always played video games endlessly by myself, but I was lucky I made friends at school. He does seem like another kid that could be could be useful to the JSA in the sense that I wish they would find better hands. So clearly he is someone that is suited to using the pen, someone that will be able to think analytically and come up with the best wishes, and I imagine that Mike's wish inadvertently has given us someone who will be good at wielding the pen, unlike potentially either of its previous owners, poor Mike. I hope we find him soon. I hope he finds them. Maybe the pen can say, oh yeah, the JSA, they hang out in that, look at a diner, it's not a diner, in that mechanic shop, something like that, so we can unite with him, because this kid deserves friends, and if he really has better hands for the pen, then I think maybe he could be somebody that would be a valuable asset to the team, even if it would be a bit sucky for Mike to see someone else swanning in with a thing he so temporarily had. I think that's all the kids. Sorry if I have missed anything with the kids. So then we have the Shade. Now he is creepy as hell. He's doing very, he's very sinister with how he talks, and I love the way he just had a whole meal, like, oh, it's biscuits, but like, he's British, so of course he had tea and biscuits, but he had everything set out for them to just talk to them and basically say, you stay out of my way, I'll stay out of your way, and we don't know his motives here. Now, the fact that when Beth accused him of killing Dr. Midnight, and then he was like, you don't know everything, is there more to that story? Did he not kill Dr. Midnight? Did he kill Dr. Midnight because, I mean, he was working with the ISA. Why was he working with the ISA if he didn't align with all of their ambitions? I definitely do not think he is a good guy, but it was interesting to me that he didn't initially attack them, and that even when he did attack them, he just left them. He left Barbara, you know, all these people that he had opportunities where he could have caused further harm, and he didn't. He just, like, restrained them and was like, I'm not going to say it again, stay out my way. And even his line at the end about he's going to kill those children. It's interesting, like, does he care? Why does he care? Because he seems like a villain. He's a villain. Why would he care? It's interesting. He's a character I'm intrigued to know more about, where he is now, his backstory and everything like that. We know that Cindy is in well over her head, and I'm very stressed. Then I loved seeing the flashback. Obviously it was a bit to see the pink pen, and I think Pat knows what it's like to be the guy left behind. To even when you kind of think, oh, that guy's more of a loser than me within the JSA, and then he gets called in and you don't. I think he needs to really talk to his son about how, you know, I've been where you are in a different way, and it's all about maximising everybody's usefulness and like everyone's skill sets, and everyone's skill sets are different, and right now you are 11, 10, 13, 14, I don't know. You are young, very young, younger even than Courtney and her friends. You are technically too young. You will find your time. You will find, if as you grow up you still want to be part of this, we will find the part that you fit into. We will find the thing that makes you a part of this team. For now, you are support, you are another brain we can use, but you know, like, he needs to do better. And I hope he will going forwards, because he had it kind of rudely brought to his attention that he had been failing in Mike in noticing. And again, I'm not like hating on him or anything, like, I just think like he needs to wake up and notice his son. Definitely throughout it's something a lot of people, especially if parents who have really busy lives, maybe they have a lot going on with one kid, it's very easy to kind of, if the other child seemingly is just being quiet and going along with things and not having any noticeable problems, it's easy to not notice that they are struggling, and I hope going forwards Pat and Barbara will both be there for Mike a little bit more. This was another very good episode. A reminder that you can find the unedited version on my Patreon. Thank you so much for watching.